Today on CityCast Philly, let's hit the slopes. I'm speaking with someone who organizes skiing and snowboarding trips to some nearby mountains, and she's got some tips on the best places to go no matter your skill level. It's Thursday, January 26th, 2023. I'm Trenae Nuri, and this is CityCast Philly. Alicia Wiles, you're a trip lead for the Philly Free Riders. You are a group of skiing enthusiasts. Y'all travel around the Philly area, but also around the world. Tell me about some of the trips you all take.
So we actually just had a group get back from Breckenridge, Colorado. We are about to have a trip that goes to Whistler, Canada. And I think in March, we have a trip that is going to Jay Peak, Vermont. So every couple weeks or every other weekend, we have a trip going somewhere different, whether it's California, Colorado, Seattle, you name it, we try to get out there.
So what's your specialty? You like snowboarding or skiing? Or both?
I am a boarder. I don't think I am coordinated enough to carry two blades on my feet instead of one.
How long have you been snowboarding?
I've been snowboarding for about 12 years. I learned in Tokyo, Japan, which has
Oh, nice.
wonderful powder. And then I moved back to America, snowboarded a lot on the West Coast, and this is my third season out on the Ice Coast,
Nice.
otherwise known as the East Coast.
I like that. Alicia, what do you wish more people knew about skiing or snowboarding in Pennsylvania?
That safety is really important. I love the group feel, especially what the Philly Free Riders do for the people here in Pennsylvania. We link people together, but we don't want you guys to just come out and go gung ho and not really know what you're doing. We want you guys to take safety into consideration. We want you to wear your helmet. We want you to know how to brake and to slow down. There's a lot more that goes into snowboarding and skiing than just bombing it down the mountain. And we have a responsibility of making sure that everyone gets back home safe with as little injuries as possible.
Okay, Alicia, I'm so excited that you're here to talk about some of your recommendations for planning a ski trip. Let's start with the best places for newbies like me.
So, if you're a new snowboarder or skier, I would highly recommend checking out Bear Creek Mountain, which is in the Lehigh Valley area. It's a pretty beginner slope. We also recommend Shawnee Mountain, which is near Camelback in the Poconos, or Big Snow, which is actually an indoor snowboarding skiing place in New Jersey. It's a really great place to just kind of learn the basics and get yourself up standing and know how to be as safe as you can be.
So these are good for newbies because the mountain's not as intimidating, it's pretty basic courses.
Right. So the trails are they're not as steep. They make fresher snow, so it's not as icy. And I think on the beginning paths, everybody is like-minded and they're all learning the same skills. So you don't necessarily have people zipping past you where you have to be so worried and concerned about your safety or theirs.
Now, speaking of those who are more advanced and that are listening, what are the best places for those riders and skiers?
So secretly, I want to gatekeep.
Right. You don't want everybody to know your stuff.
But nice people don't gatekeep. So what I'm going to do is tell you guys my favorite places here in Pennsylvania. So obviously, I got to start with Blue Mountain. It has a lot of paths that are for intermediate and advanced, and it has a few beginner paths. I like Jack Frost Big Boulder. Jack Frost and Big Boulder are two mountains, but they're sold under the same lift ticket.
Mm-hmm.
So you could spend half of the day at Jack Frost, and then you go spend the other half of the day at Big Boulder. And they're about 2 miles apart from each other. Jack Frost has a lot of good runs to practice your skills, and Big Boulder has some fun runs to do. And then they also have a lot of park and features to play on and do better with.
Nice.
And then on top of that, I guess my last one would be Elk. That one's a little bit further away, but again, it's a good mountain. It has a good variation of beginner, intermediate, and advanced runs. And they're not as crowded as some of the other mountains seem to be.
Now, speaking of that, when's the best time of the year to go to these places?
So in Pennsylvania, it really depends. Blue Mountain is awesome because this year they actually opened on Black Friday. They have a several $1 million snowmaking system. So they start making snow early. They have a good base. When the temperatures are low enough, they'll continue to make snow. And Jack Frost Big Boulder also make their own snow. I find that Pennsylvania, the last 3 years, has been getting the bulk of their snow at the end of January and throughout February, with the season ending in March.
Got it.
I personally love bluebird
Mhm.
and spring skiing days because the temperature is nice, it's not as icy, and those days I tend to find in like late February through March.
Alicia, this may be a silly question, but I am definitely a newbie when it comes to skiing and snowboarding. What do I wear?
So you definitely want to wear something warm and waterproof. So I always recommend wearing a tight base layer and then a somewhat loose, like a sweatshirt and sweatpants over that. And then you want to wear a waterproof snowboard pant or ski pant and a waterproof, windproof jacket just to keep you warm. I always recommend having a good pair of gloves, a helmet for sure, goggles, and gloves.
Alicia, where would you recommend for families? What are the best places to bring the whole gang?
So for families, I guess I'm just gonna have to go with Camelback. Camelback is a mountain in the Poconos. While it is a very busy mountain, there is so much to do for everyone. So there are bars, there are hotels nearby, short drives to other accommodations with cabins, and there is also a water park there. So if you take your littles, you guys go try skiing for the day, put them in a lesson. At the end of the day, you can go ahead and hit up the water park and relax as a family together.
Now, some of the mountains you recommended are great for day trips, right?
Yes.
Now, what if we are looking to actually stay for a little bit longer? So, what are the best places for lodging or to have that resort experience? Where would you recommend?
So I think for the resort experience, I would probably look at Camelback or I would look at Round Top or Elk. So those are towns. They have Airbnbs nearby. They also have hotels nearby. But for like tired and true resort experience, I would say your best bet is to get out of Pennsylvania and head further north. I personally love Hunter Mountain in New York. I also love Jay Peak, Vermont, Stowe, Vermont, Sugarbush, Killington is another great place. Those
These are
places,
all in New York?
New York and Vermont, so kind of
Got it.
near the border. And I like those because those are built ski towns. So not only is there the mountain with things to do at the mountain, but those towns are built around like tourism and having people come in. And so there's so much to do.
Okay, and before we let you go, we got to talk about what do y'all do after snowboarding? After a long day skiing and doing all those winter activities, what are your favorite places and things to do and hang out at after?
So my personal favorite is the Slopeside Bar at Blue Mountain. Not only are drinks cheap and affordable, but I swear there's nothing to do in that town. So everybody from the town just comes up and people, there are live bands. I went there, I think about like 3 or 4 weeks ago, and they had baby goats outside of the bar. So
Okay.
it was so fun for me because I was like, oh my gosh, I love you. Let me snuggle. And so there's a lot of people like to go out for drinks afterwards. And I think that's a big ski snowboarder thing that Philly Freeriders has carried through our group. So not only do we go out for drinks and we meet up for lunch when we're on the mountain or we're done with the mountain, but we also do happy hours monthly, both in the Conshohocken area and the Philadelphia area. So we can kind of get together, talk about new equipment, talk about things that we did over the summer. And then also, we like to plan like hiking trips and biking trips and tubing down the river. We try to stay active together because when many of us join this group, we're either new to the area or we don't have other people with like-minded interests, and we have become this amazing family who just loves and supports each other. And I think for people in the Philadelphia area, we all understand how important networking is. And we have people from lawyers to doctors to dentists who own their own practice, all the way down to like the girl who bartends at Hooters on the weekend. We have such a large variation of people, but we all bring so much to each other's lives, and we've become one of the strongest families I've been a part of in my whole adult life.
All right, Alicia Wiles, trip lead for the Philly Free Riders. Thank you so much for being on CityCast Philly.
Thank you for having me. We appreciate it.
To get involved with Philly Free Riders and find out about their next trip, we'll have a link in our show notes. And here's what else Philly's talking about. SEPTA is installing real-time countdown clocks at 13th Street Station by the end of March. According to Philly Voice, these clocks will give arrival times and info on system-wide delays. SEPTA is expected to set up these clocks at other stops on the Norristown High-Speed Line, the L, Broad Street Line, and trolleys by the end of the year. And President Joe Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris will be in the city next Friday. According to the Enquirer, they are expected to discuss their economic agenda. That's all for today here on CityCast Philly. If you enjoyed this episode about skiing recommendations near our area, share this link on your social media. Rate the show, leave us a review, and hit that subscribe button. Be sure to sign up for our Hey Philly newsletter, too. We'll be back tomorrow morning with the Friday News Roundup. Bye. Great. Oh, I almost lost my mic right there.